to Rethink the Resume, how legal teams can expand their talent pipeline. I am super, super excited about this conversation. I have a great guest who's going to be joining, us to talk about this a little bit more. Before we dive in, I just wanted to share a little, a few housekeeping notes. This session will be recorded, so please feel free to put pencils down. I mean, you can obviously take notes, but we'll be sharing this recording with you after the session. Feel free also to drop to drop comments in the chat if you want to interact with your peers. You can also drop questions in Q&A. We will be monitoring that. We have a couple of my team members here who are going to help moderate the Q&A so that we can try to answer as many questions as possible. This is a 45-minute session. So we are going to spend the first 30 minutes having a bit of a chat, bit of a conversation, and then we're going to allocate the last 10 to 15 minutes for live Q&A. Many of you also pre-submitted some questions. Thank you so much. There was so much engagement and we have so many great questions. I'm going to try to incorporate as many as possible. Again, we'll have time at the end for both those pre-submitted questions and live Q&A, and we'll have folks monitoring the Q&A and chats as well so that they can answer questions in progress. But the main reason why we're here is to talk about legal hiring. First of all, let me introduce myself. My name is Carmen Bryant. I'm the Vice President of Marketing here at Wizehire. My 3-year anniversary is coming up very quickly. Before I was at Wizehire, I actually was at Indeed, leading their B2B marketing efforts for the US market. So I spent the last decade basically working with small and growing businesses, really trying to help them find great talent and trying to match job seekers with great jobs. So it's always exciting when I have an opportunity to, get together with folks who are on the front lines of that challenge. But I am beyond excited for my esteemed guest who will be joining and sharing her expertise, Nichole Hanscom from How to Manage a Small Law Firm. And Nichole, I know that you've done so much with many growing legal firms. I'd love for you to share a little bit about your background and, sort of what you do and how to manage a small law firm as well.
Thanks. Yes, I love to share what we do at How to Manage. The way I like to introduce myself at cocktail parties or networking events is I help small law firm owners make more money and have more fun.
Yes.
That's what we do. And I've been at How to Manage now for 8 years, and I've got 20 something in law firm management in general, running different law firms, 8 years at How to Manage, working closely one-on-one with small law firm owners. I'm a recovering attorney who did my stint at big law, small law, mid law, government law. I sort of have practiced all over. So what I really like doing is helping the members of How to Manage make more money, have more fun, have more sanity,
Yes.
run their businesses. Yeah.
So you're the perfect person for this conversation. I think the folks on the call are going to get so much out of this. Before we jump into our conversation, I would like to hear from people on the call and understand a little bit more about what your top hiring challenge is. So why don't we pull up our poll and let's see what you have to say. Curious what your top hiring challenges are.
Oh, I see a lot of the greatest hits.
Yeah, yeah, it's true. I mean, there's a reason they're on this list, right? Like they're
Mhm.
definitely ones that we hear time and time again. And it's, many of these we'll see what the results are, but I think that's why this conversation was so critical because, rethink the resume. We want to think about how do we make sure that people are able to get as many qualified folks in as possible. And then also expanding your talent pipeline. Like, how can we be more at the ready and not constantly, scrambling to find new talent? So, um, I think I would be shocked if we don't see a lot of responses that are correlated to those.
Yep.
So let's see. What are the results here? Okay, yep. Yep, finding enough qualified candidates. Yep, yep, yep. Pretty much, yes. Yep.
Filling that pipeline.
I know, right? I can't. I feel like we can't really stress that one enough. Not enough time. Let's see, we have high employee turnover or retention also cropping up quite a bit, and then uncertainty about using AI in the hiring process. Yeah, kind of what we thought. Finding enough qualified applicants, I think this idea of rethinking the resume and just being broader in our thinking about what a qualified applicant actually looks like is really critical. And then also not waiting until the last minute. So I think we're gonna cover off on a lot of those things. But before we start there, I want to take kind of like a 10,000 foot view, which to me is a little bit of kind of like the elephant in the room, but maybe not. Maybe it's just me. But anytime there is a change in the administration, the presidential administration, we are going to have a lot of uncertainty. There's going to be things that are changing with regard to policy and process and people and all the things. So I'm curious, especially from your interesting vantage point, in the past 7 months, which is, basically the tenure of the most recent administration, what, if anything, is unique or especially different about this time, especially as it relates to legal hiring?
I think I think you said it. Every time there's a change in administration, um, there are many predictions, and this is going to happen. I think these are not unprecedented times. We change administrations frequently. What I've seen and heard is that there's a lot of cautious optimism, and whether you are on one side or on the other, whether you play down the middle, whether you don't pay attention to politics at all, there's been there's been a boom. I
Mhm.
think, especially in immigration, we've seen lots of law hiring, lots of creative ways to generate a good pipeline of candidates. One of the things that I've definitely seen that I think is not at all related to the administration, but it's definitely been over the past 7 months more than I've ever seen before. Um, a need for tech savvy
Interesting.
employees.
Yeah.
So it used to be, you know how to use a case management system, and now they're like, no, we need attorneys to be tech savvy. We need secretaries to be tech savvy. Um, Remote and hybrid environments more
Yeah.
than ever before. I think candidates really want them and expect them. And law firm owners, business owners, I'm going to talk about business owners too, because my husband owns his own business and I've seen this with him. They're looking for a way to fill that need.
Yeah.
How can we help people work remotely at least some of the time?
Yeah. And how does there's couple of follow-up questions. I think the first one is like in legal, especially when I think about like compliance and just like the other challenges, like how should law firms be thinking about remote or hybrid work?
I think the same way that we've always thought about it. Well, the same way that we always should have thought about it. And I think a lot of hybrid or remote tech heavy environments, um, you have to make sure your people have training. You
Yeah,
have to make sure you have security in place. You have to probably a bigger like because you can get a managed service provider, right? To do that, you can install the technology. You can tell people not to click on the phishing emails.
yeah,
You can get cyber insurance. But I think more than anything, it's hiring, designing the positions now with KPIs in mind, with objective. I think people are realizing just seeing you sitting in an office doesn't make you a productive employee.
Yeah.
Looking at what you're producing makes you a
Mhm.
productive employee. So I think and I think that's the way we always should have been thinking about it. And I think people are coming around to that where it's like, I don't need to see someone to know they're working. I can see the results of what they've worked on.
Yeah, that's interesting. Like I've been in environments, actually when I was at Indeed, where, there were certain roles where your productivity was based on activity. That's
Yeah.
kind of how it was assessed. And in a remote environment, I mean, productivity in person, you can see at least. But if someone is being quote unquote busy at home, you don't really see it. You see the outcomes. And so I think, it required a mind shift from leadership. And it sounds similar to what you're saying of like, what are the objectives? Because everybody might get to that differently, but what are the outcomes?
Yeah. And I think we noticed there were a lot of people who managed to make a career out of being busy, and they got a lot of accolades for that. And now in a remote environment, you don't get accolades for being busy. No one cares how busy you are.
Yeah,
And so it's people who can produce the results without rewarding that busyness. I
yeah.
think that's a real pattern that I'm seeing people start to come around to, which makes my COO heart happy, Chief Operating Officer heart happy.
Yeah, yeah. So like focusing on outcomes is going to like help guide remote and hybrid workers and their sort of teams on how to be more productive. Um, One of the things we saw already that like one of the top sort of like challenges is finding enough qualified applicants. When we hear law firms say, or business owners say, we can't find anyone good. There's
Yeah.
nobody out there. Nobody, like if you talk to my mom, nobody wants to work anymore. Um, where should people be looking? And are there places outside of like the usual suspects that they can go to?
One of the things that that occurred to me as we were talking last time we were talking is that recruitment, with all of us who are recruiters, all of us who go out and look for new employees, recruitment and marketing are twins.
Mm.
So whether you're going out and looking for a new employee or whether you're going out and looking for a new client, it's really the same tactics, it's the same thoughts, it's the same. You're promoting your culture when you're looking for new employees, you're promoting your brand when you're looking for new clients, you're looking for people who want to engage with you. So I sort of like having my members who I work with really think about it like marketing. And with a law firm, you when you're marketing for new clients, there's a whole list of bar rules that you have to follow. When you're marketing for new employees, you don't have the same bar list that you have to follow. So work your networks. Good people know other good people. Get your staff involved. They work with good people all day. Do they want those good people to come over here and work with these good people? Um, so I really think work your relationships, work your networks. When we run our ads, when we post our job ads, we need to have our culture show through. We let your brand show, let who you are show through. One of the things that I have come to realize is that A plus candidates want to work for A plus employers.
Yes, yes.
And so when they can feel like they get the connection, when they feel like they'll be a fit, when they feel like they'll be valued, that's where they want to go because they could go anywhere. So they're going to go someplace that values them.
Yeah,
That's probably my biggest advice is to start thinking of this like marketing
yeah. Uh,
and pull out the stops.
yeah, I like that. And it's very, very true. And it's something that like I think is a big shift in how, I mean, it's actually not that big a shift in terms of how we think about recruiting more recently, but when we think about like the long tail of recruiting, yes, for sure. There's one pre-submitted question that came in that I think is actually really relevant to this topic, and it was, how can hiring managers, well, let me ask this question first.
Okay.
do you think that someone, say excluding a lawyer, but do you think that someone can work in a law firm that does not have legal experience?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Or say more. Where would you look for folks that you think would be appropriate for legal?
Um, I I don't think I have any lawyers here on this call. I think it's, but maybe we do. So I apologize in advance if you don't like what I'm about to say. Um, Law firms are very simple businesses. They are not complex. They are not complicated. The law is the technology that we use. So if you think about what a law firm does, it's professional services. Yeah. So any professional services background is going to translate nicely. Worked in a medical center, guess what? They're also customer focused. They're also service obsessed. They're also used to deadlines. Engineering, insurance, consulting, technology, um, architecture. I'm thinking of all the professional services business. I should have written them all down before I came into here. I think they translate super well, especially for your non-lawyer assistants. I help hire firm administrators, professional legal administrators, office managers. I don't even bat an eye when I see they don't have legal. If I see they have medical, insurance, consulting, technology, the skills, the mindset, the way of thinking about who your customer is so transferable.
Yeah.
And then the one I told you about this offline, but I don't like to hire anybody who doesn't have some retail or some hospitality.
Yeah.
Um, because that really shows that you can handle the public under stress, maybe when they're not at their best, uh, and that you can pitch in, that you can figure out how to get it done. So what that's really what I look for. When I'm talking about attorneys, I'm talking about something completely different. Yeah. But when I'm talking about billing specialists, office managers, receptionists, non-lawyer assistants, marketing, I love to see a couple of different professional services backgrounds because I think those skills are so transferable and those people come with great experience.
That's great. And you kind of answered like a follow-up question to that, which was what were kind of like the transferable skills to look for from other industries. And you really kind of spoke to professional services and kind of like the way that they think about customers. Talked a little bit about sort of like retail and hospitality and their ability to deal with the public. Is there
Mhm.
anything else that comes to mind as far as, something that you think is a really key skill? um, that can kind of like transfer or translate to legal.
Yeah, they understand billing,
Yeah,
they
yeah,
understand collection, they understand documenting a file. I'm I'm getting super granular with it because those are where I find employees either really what separates the A employees from the B employees are those people.
yeah.
Like they understand the importance of a case management system. They understand the importance of filing documents the right way so that people can use them. Um, from a receptionist level, they know to answer the phone with a smile on their face, that the caller can hear it.
Yeah,
So those are, can they work in an office in a professional setting, like a professional person? And everything else we can teach.
yeah, yeah.
And most of
Um,
it, and most of these law firms now is automated anyway.
yeah, yeah. I want to address a question that came up in the Q&A. Obviously, the name of your company you work for is How to Manage a Small Law Firm. How do you define what does small mean to you? What is a small law firm?
I think the official definition, don't quote me on it. It's fewer than 20 lawyers.
Okay.
So it can be any gross revenue level. We have a couple of members who are $50 million law firms. We have members who are trying to break $250,000 in gross revenue. So the revenue really runs the gamut. I think you're no longer considered a small law firm when there's more than 20 lawyers, and then you move into mid-sized.
Mhm.
And then from there you go to big law, which are the big conglomerates.
Yeah. And just as an FYI for Wizehire, we focus on small and primarily mid-sized businesses. And so we kind of hone in on across the board for those that have 500 or fewer employees.
Okay.
For legal, it could be a little bit on, smaller, but then some of the other industries we focus on, it might be, more employees, but that's kind of how we think about it. So just wanted to share that for context for our attendee who had the question. Um, you talked about big law. Right.
Big
Because I'm
law.
thinking
Mhm.
about all the different ways, like just, as we think about, new places to find talent or, just to kind of revisit, what do you think about candidates or people that have worked in big law that are coming into, a small law firm? When I came to Wizehire from Indeed, that was, I got a lot of questions about like, do you want to come and work for a small company and
Yeah.
things like, what do you think about folks from big law?
I did that when I was at the Tampa Public Defender's Office, 400 employees, started my own law firm, two of us. And
Yeah.
it's a mindset shift. I think attorneys, yes, 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 all day, they're excellent candidates. For non-attorneys, I think it depends. And I say that, well, for attorneys, because the legal experience, right? For everybody, attorneys and non-attorneys, it's going to depend. It's going to depend on, are they ready for, do they want, are they embracing the kind of smaller, scrappier,
Mhm.
fast changing, small environment? I think, fast growing businesses, the DNA of that business changes quarter over quarter. When you grow by 30% quarter over quarter, you got to
Yeah.
have somebody who not just is okay with change, but who runs headlong into it with their arms open, saying, "I love yes, I don't want to do the same thing year over year."
Yeah.
Big Law is really happy to grow by 5%
Yeah.
in a year. And a small law firm, one that works with how to manage, some of the people who work with you, they might double in a
Yeah.
year and double in the next year, and change is inevitable and desired in order to make that happen. So if you've got somebody who's been at big law a while and who's used to the big slow moving luxury liner or battleship,
Yeah.
um, and getting them to turn as quickly as a jet ski sometimes isn't going to work.
Yeah.
But if it's somebody who's like doesn't like the big law machine, doesn't want to do the 2,000 hours, those are great attorney candidates for small law firms and mid-sized law firms. And
Yeah.
then for support staff, the non-lawyers, of course, I think they can come from big law and be happy at small law. They're just going to have to get used to working without some of the machinery, some of the support.
Yeah.
Um, the case management systems are a little different. The filing systems, some of us, when we started our own businesses, we didn't think about what sort of document management we were going to want. We just saved everything to Dropbox. And then 5 years later, we're like, oh, we should file something. So if you can, if you can, if you can find somebody coming from big law who's really like, yes, I want to help you write policies and procedures, I want to help you streamline your operations, then I think they're a great fit.
Yeah. That's amazing.
I would actively go after big law attorneys if I
Yeah.
was a small law firm owner.
What about recent grads? Like we're kind of like in bar season right now. What do you think?
Let them go to big law. let let I know we're in bar season. I saw the posts from my friends who are still professors, and they're like, send good thoughts to the Florida today because everyone's taking the bar. I, I look at it this way. Um, I was a third career lawyer. I was already married and like mom before I even became a lawyer. And then I went to law school and became a lawyer. And I realized they weren't teaching me at all how to practice law. Law school is not like med school. You don't get a cadaver to cut open and practice and find the spleen. Like, you don't, it teaches you how to think and ask questions and educate yourself, but it doesn't teach you how to find the inside of a courtroom. It doesn't teach you how to read a rule book. It doesn't teach you how to write an estate plan. Um, Practice teaches you that. So I like to let big law firms and government law firms train my lawyers.
Mhm.
And then I like to poach them from, I like to hire them away from
Yeah,
big law and government law with promises of a better future, a firm that gets them upward mobility without chaining yourself to your computer, all of those things. I will say, yes, they're cheaper.
mm,
It's cheaper to hire a newly barred attorney than an experienced attorney. It's cheaper because they're not as good. And it's cheaper because you have to spend more of your time training them. You have to take more of your time as the investment. So money wise, it's cheaper. Time wise, it's absolutely not. And
yeah,
with the if you could hire an attorney who could already do and has already done the things that you need them to do, you will make that 3, 4 times return on investment than if you're going after newly barred lawyers trying to save some money.
yeah, yeah. Um, Much like I thought, time is flying by. So I want to get a couple more questions in before we kind of open it up for live Q&A. Um, What are your tips for like building, like we've talked about, kind of ways to find more talent, how to get creative, how to maybe think a little bit differently, rethink the resume. I want to talk about this idea of like the talent pipeline. Like how do you like what are some tips you have for firms to build a more kind of like ready talent pipeline?
Think of it like marketing,
Mm,
right? Never take your foot off the marketing pedal. Always be sourcing.
yeah.
When I when I'm with Arjan, the founder of How to Manage in Public, we laugh because he will find people in the grocery store line where he's like, they had a great personality. I bet they could do. He is just always thinking this person would be a good fit. And there's How to Manage always has job ads out. At the public defender's office, we always had job ads out. I was always like going to on campus interviews. We just treat sourcing, recruiting,
Mhm.
developing that pipeline like it's a never ending cycle. And you're always looking for good people. You're always looking to up level the people you've got. You're always looking to get your name out there and promote your culture and promote your brand. That's one of the things that helps keep a ready, what we used to call a ready pool
Yeah.
is, I've met these people, I've talked to these people, they're at this stage of the interview process. We'd like to, they're not ready to leave the place they were at before, but they said, please call me if a spot ever opens up. I have a huge file like that.
Yeah.
So I think always be sourcing, never stop. Also helps. I can't see the audience, but I know I'm going to get some head nods. If every time you place a job ad, the paralegal gets nervous and they're like, "Oh no, they're looking for a paralegal. Does that mean they're getting rid of me? Should I be nervous?" If you always have ads for paralegals and you always have ads for receptionists and you always have ads for customer service and billing specialists and an office manager, then people don't get so nervous and they realize you're looking to always grow. You're looking to keep growing and keep adding good people. And when they know that you're looking to keep adding good people, they become one of the greatest unpaid recruiting forces. I even used to pay them. I used to give a bonus to my staff when they would bring a good person who got hired. Um, get your team in on it. Always be sourcing, always be interviewing. I think that's the best way to make sure that you don't like run dry
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
candidates where then you have to go kick dust and try and churn up good people. You're kind of cultivating the long relationship.
Yeah, and that's something that we've seen a lot with a lot of our customers here at Wizehire, and we have really tried to do a lot to support them. I want to take as much advantage of you as I can, Nichole. So I haven't talked about Wizehire too much, but we have really observed how much better it is when people are more proactive and have kind of launched tools, like tools to kind of like nurture candidates where they're great, but maybe they weren't the right fit for that job, but you want to stay engaged, like a place to have like just a pool of ta talent. So taking that talent pool and that ready pool and then like actually having it, um, you know, in a
Yeah.
repository, an essential place where you go and access it. And I think that that has been something that has been very clear that was such a need, in the industry and with our customers. So like that makes so much sense to me.
And to the degree that you guys help automate it, to the degree that, like,
Yeah.
I used to have a literal Redwell file full of resumes.
Yeah.
And so,
Yeah.
to the degree that you've got all that information there, put those people on your holiday card list. Just keep communicating.
Yeah. I'm going to open it up for questions, but I'm going to ask one last question. We didn't talk that much about AI. I'm just curious, like if you have any thoughts about it, about the role that it plays in hiring, any opportunities or things to watch out for.
Oh, that's so big. Um, so there are so many things happening with AI, whether it's, people just using Chat GPT to help them write a better resume or to help them write a better resume. Or us employers, on the other hand, using Chat GPT to help us write a better job ad and a better job description. I think this past year, um, we've seen with this embracing of becoming more tech savvy, we've seen potential employees and employers embrace AI in ways that I quite frankly didn't think I'd be seeing this.
Yeah, yeah,
I read an article about um, somebody sent their chat their AI twin, a company sent an AI HR manager to interview candidates. And it's like, why are you doing that? Like,
yeah, no,
why not let the candidates send their AI? Like, let them know AI is going to show up to interview them and let them act accordingly. So there are some areas where I think AI is great. Uh, ChatGPT is amazing. Using the large language models, using agents, I think those things can automate a good majority um, of the tasks
hmm
related to hiring. I don't think yet, I could be proven wrong, but it's going to take a lot to sway me on this. I don't think yet that that we're ready to have AI make the hiring decisions. I think let the people
yes, yeah,
handle the strategy, let the
hmm
people handle the relationships, let the people make the decision about whether this is a good culture fit, this is a good employee that we're willing to take a chance on and invest in. Uh, Let AI handle screening the resume to let me
yes,
know if it has
yeah,
typos and did they follow instructions, and let AI help you write a better job description that lets your employees actually know what they're going to be doing. Let AI help you design your KPIs, your key performance indicators. Let AI do that. And that frees you up, your creativity, your humanness, the part that can't actually be um, replaced or mimicked by artificial intelligence. Um, to handle the personal and the interpersonal.
yeah. That is amazing. I love what you said. I couldn't have said it any better. That is kind of how we have really approached AI and how we want to incorporate it into our products and solutions because it is still a very human-driven, um, sort of function. And you can't like, it can handle the busy work, it can handle the task, but we still need that human in the loop. So,
And think about your business, my business, their professional services. I know I meant to say recruiters as
yeah,
people
yeah,
with professional services skills. Um, we're a human business. And so, you know, don't lose sight of who your customer is and that you want people who want to serve your customers, like keeping the humanity up here, the peopleness of it all up here, automate everything down below, and don't delegate to artificial intelligence some of the most important work that you're going to do in your business, customer service to your clients, service to your potential new employees. Like, keep that, deploy some soul is,
Yeah.
as you do that. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, let's go to some questions. I want to make sure we're getting a mix of questions that are kind of helpful, that are going to take advantage of sort of you, Nichole. I should probably stop saying take advantage. It's probably not the right. Um, let's see. There was a question around resume screening that I wanted to follow up on. So, actually, we talked about this a little bit, to be honest. What is a quick and effective way to screen resumes so you're not drowning under paperwork? How would you keep
AI.
candidates interested? Yes, between the hiring stages.
So I think the quick and efficient way to screen resumes is AI.
Yes.
I actually think it's great for that. The founder, one of the founders of our company, she built an agent and she analyzed all of our resumes of the current employees. So current employees, past employees, she dumped 500 or 600 resumes into this and found certain trends among standout employees. And it's things, and so you can program your AI to do that. You can create an agent to do that. But just so you guys know, um, overuse of the word I did this, I did this, I did this, I did this, and
Mhm.
not talking about the team or getting things done with people. Um, was an indicator that someone was probably not going to be super successful here at how to manage, because we get a lot done with teams. So just my favorite hacks, um, one, get AI to do it, and then two, when you put your human element and you put your eyeballs on it, before, realize that that person's resume is the best version of them you're ever going to see. It's They had the most time to prep it.
Yeah.
They had time to spell check it. This is the version, like, I can't find a better way to say it. This is the best version of them that you're ever going to get.
Yeah.
And if it's not great, move on. Don't
Yeah.
fall in love with a resume, because of the hope that you think it brings. Recognize that this is the best version of this person you're ever going to get. And then, would we take a slightly lesser version of them in an interview? And so that's one of the things I do to quickly get through resumes. I read it and I'm like, this is the best version of them I'm ever going to get. And I just move it. I feel much better moving it aside and sending them a letter that says, no, thank you, not at this time.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, there are a lot of, I'm trying to consolidate some of the questions. So there was a question around how many years of experience should we be looking for in this day and age with job hopping? When looking for attorneys with particular experience, will Wizehire be able to help us do this? Wanting to understand, will also Wizehire add experience to the assessment process? So I'm going to talk a little about what Wizehire is doing, and then I'd love for you to get your take on just what does experience mean in this era of job hopping? Um, we have, we've been doing so much work with Wizehire, and we recently launched something called Talent Match, which basically takes candidates' disc assessment. It takes responses to their screening questions. It also looks at their resume, and it's AI that can kind of parse out aspects of the resume to identify top candidates on all
Mm.
of those different things. And it's kind of the idea of the resume screening, but it's like resume screening plus screening questions plus their assessment. So then you can see who the top candidates are. So the answer to the question around how Wizehire can help around assessing experience is for sure we do have screening questions and filters and things like that in our product and solution, but we also have Talent Match. We can also help you serve up those top candidates. So that's kind of wanted to make sure to get that out there. But
No,
Nichole,
that's very
curious,
cool.
yeah, Nichole, curious to hear like how you think about experience and job hopping.
So I think they're two very different things.
Mhm.
I don't care how many quote unquote years of I have never found the right mix for years of experience
Interesting.
that it means the person's able to do anything. Um,
Yeah.
you could work at a prosecutor as an so talk about attorneys, you could work for a prosecutor's office for a year and try 12 trials. You could work for a big law firm, a mid-sized law firm for a year and carry the partner's briefcase.
Yeah.
So a year, 3 years, 5 years, 8 years, 10 years, what I care about is what they can do. So when I write my job ads, I don't say how many years of experience I want. I say what I want the person to do. I want you to try cases. I want you to, what's paralegal do? Develop chronologies, research records, write draft motions for the attorney and specific motions, motions to suppress, motions to partition property, things that I put it in my job ad, things that people who don't know what those things are like, oh, they might test me. They might
Yeah.
ask me to actually, I'm not going to apply if I can't actually do those things. I try and niche down. Um, Job hopping, I'm okay with so long as you know they're going to job hop you. So if you're looking for somebody, if they give everybody 12 to 18 months, they're going to give you 12 to 18 months. If they give everybody 30 days, they're going to give you 30 days. Um, I do care if they are being pushed from jobs. I had to leave because there was no more growth opportunity. I didn't like my manager versus they're being pulled. I've been recruited to these different, and it's a level up every time. I worry less.
Yeah.
Um, but I think job hopping is a pattern. And unless I see a very demonstrated reason, i.e., I've hired a lot of spouses of military.
Hmm.
That job hopping I get. When your spouse gets moved to Japan, you go to Japan. um, that's, I think, remote work is so helpful for that now. Um, but so I look at the reasons why. I look to see how long they've certainly stayed at any place, but not to judge them, just to know that's probably how long I've got them for.
Yeah. Yeah.
And for experience, I want to know what exactly can you do with your years of experience? What outcomes can you give me?
Yeah. We are 1 minute over, but I don't know if you have a little extra time, Nichole, to
For you.
yes, okay. We'll give it a few more minutes.
Yes, for
But
y'all.
I do want to respect everyone's time on the call as well and kind of acknowledge that folks might have to drop. If you do have a few more minutes, we will try to answer a couple more questions. And also because selfishly, I just, and and I have learned also that people use experience. They think experience means competency,
Yes,
and it doesn't. And
it doesn't.
there's really not a correlation there. And it's just interesting to hear you sort of like articulate it in that way because it's not something that I often hear, but there's research out there, and I can find the research and share with folks that shows that there's very little correlation between experience and competency.
I really like how you phrased that far more succinctly than the way I said it.
No, it's true. Oh, and there are more questions. I'm like, so many wonderful questions. Let's see. Um, so one, I'm just trying to see if this is something we've already answered. So one registrant asked about alternative hiring routes. I think we talked about this a little bit. Are there any creative approaches you've seen work particularly well for legal teams that couldn't find the perfect resume?
Oh, solicit. So it's something that you're not allowed to do in legal marketing and sales, but you can definitely do it in HR. And that's just openly and brazenly ask people to make referrals to you for new employees, pay them I had somebody hashtag bounty hunter, yeah, just
I
like
like that.
mercilessly working their networks. Former clients,
Yes. Yeah.
very few people can speak as passionately about the work you do as the people you have helped. So I have helped, I've thoroughly enjoyed helping some of our members hire former clients to do intake, hire former clients to do marketing, to do back end marketing for them, um, be receptionists. I've never had anybody yet hire a former client to be their attorney, to be, but I'm not ruling that out. I have some law firms who specialize in helping professionals, and so, but I think, work your relationships, and that is in addition to placing your ads and doing, doing your vetting, work your relationships to help drum up that bigger base of people that's going to see your ad.
I love that. I'm gonna try to get two more questions in here, one from Doris, one from Aaron. Doris, this is going back to our conversation around experience. Doris says, our clients want to see if the candidate has experience, more productive, um, has experience, but what they can do when I am seeking out an attorney. Experience is vital to have for attorney positions. Do you agree?
I absolutely agree.
Okay.
That's why I won't hire new law school grads, because
Yeah.
they do not have any experience that's going to help you.
Yeah. Okay. That's a great one.
And most of you guys, even in the mid-sized firms, small law for sure, even the mid-sized firms, you don't have the training systems in place to set your new law grads up for success. Government law does, big law does. They know how to take people from law school, teach them, give them the skills they need, and then you guys get to go hire them, already trained.
Yeah,
And
brilliant.
you just get to make sure that they're good for your culture and good fits for your team and your clients.
Yeah, I love it. Aaron, his question is, what's your take? And this is one that we hear a bit about too. What's your take on candidates who ghost you, then return 3 to 6 months later trying to explain whatever happened? Is that candidate permanently off your radar? Fully understanding everything in life as a case by case.
Oof.
Yeah.
So there's the Nichole answer. And then there's Nichole after she's taken a deeper breath and thought, okay, for the betterment of what's going on. Um, did they ghost me entirely? Um, did something happen in their life? Did they get sick? Did a family member get sick? Did they get taken hostage? Like, is there something that they did? Is there some way they can explain it to me, in a way that I'm okay with it? Because I do understand life happens, because your candidates, your employees, they're not things, they're not machines, they're people.
Yeah.
And so life happens. So it's hard for me to say that any candidate is ever fully off my radar unless they lie to me,
Yeah.
or steal from me, or do something, illegal, immoral, unethical. But if they have an explanation, probably I'm willing to give, probably I'm willing to give some credence to that after I complain to someone else at the firm about it, and how dare they ghost me, and they must love that, and blah blah blah, and then I get it all out of my system and I come back to normal, and I go, let's see what they have to say.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, candidate ghosting is a big issue that we see. Also, we hear it across the board. We
Just
always tell people, use automated interview scheduling, use candidate texting, like there's some different ways to do it. But, if they return 3 to 6 months later, to your point, with an actual legitimate, viable explanation, perhaps there is reason to reconsider it. I'm sure we all have examples of people who, the opposite of like someone who we didn't think would be a great hire. Well, no, the people who we thought for some reason were not going to be great or were problematic, who turned out to be amazing.
phenomenal. Hmm.
And it's often because of some, cue that we got or something that they did that sort of resulted in that.
I wish that happened as often as the people who we thought were going to be great and then just
Yeah,
fabulous.
I know.
And
That's
people
it. We all hire people. It was like of course, whenever you hire someone, you think they're amazing. You think they are all kind of going to be A+ talent. You never hire anybody thinking that they're going to be mediocre. So,
yeah.
you know,
Can you imagine? This person's not great, but they'll get the
yeah,
job done. Like
they're
if
here.
that's how you feel, don't hire. If
Yeah,
you feel like
exactly.
about
Yeah.
them, don't hire them.
Don't do that. Well, thank you for giving us some extra time. There are so many questions that I know we didn't get an opportunity to address. So if you want to share them, I still have the pre-submitted questions that folks had. We have the chat, we have the Q&A doc. We will endeavor to follow up with everyone. We will also share this recording out. Before we wrap up, Nicole, any final thoughts, anything you want the folks on the call to leave with?
You know, one thing, yes. Begin with the end in mind.
Mm,
Design the job and design the KPIs. And remember, we were talking about outcomes and productivity. Design that first.
yes.
Don't wait for that to sort of evolve once you get the person in place, because you will find yourself making concessions to fit this person, right? And then I've had so many people tell me that person just wasn't a culture fit. And I said, well, define your culture. What's your culture? And they couldn't. And I was like, okay, so they didn't. So get clear on get clear on who you are as a and who you need to join the team that you're building, and then let that guide you.
Yeah.
Don't 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 compromise who you are or bend your KPIs or design your KPIs around a person. Get clear at the beginning, and I know Wizehire helps, put that information into the job ads and screen for, you can put pre-screening questions in. Do all that work first, design the position first, and then find the people. And I think that also helps reduce the time it takes to hire.
Yes.
When you know exactly who you're looking for, you know whether you've got it or not. And um, it makes it so much easier to screen out resumes, and it makes it so much easier to have interviews, and it makes it so much easier to do onboarding. Is go ahead and declare who you are and who your business is, and then hire for that.
Yeah. Love it. And yeah, that's right. You want to be able to articulate all those things. And I will just sort of say that, I'll do my very short wise hire spiel, and I'm sure many of you on the call are already familiar with us, but just in case there are a few of you aren't, we are, really endeavoring to help small legal firms, growing legal firms, business owners really do three things, which is to hire the right people faster, have a simplified hiring process that is not chaotic and disjointed, and build a talent pipeline so you're not scrambling. So those are the things that we are really trying to develop and help businesses like yours with, and also do that with a human first approach, kind of recognizing what kind of function this is, so that there's always like live expert support that you can ask questions of.